so welcome everyone to the this month's third Thursday. The topic was Jack and the Beanstalk. Got a lot of submissions this month, and they were awesome. Can I go ahead and share my screen?
Yes, right now.
How do I do that? Show my screen.
Sorry, I should have already done that.
It's all right. I got a little beach ball spinning, which I'm getting more and more. I think I need to get a new computer. This one's old. It's like from 2010, and it's just everything that I ask it to do now is slow. Can you see my screen yet?
Yeah. Before you go into any kind of critique, though, I want to make some announcements. Is that cool?
Yeah, I'm not doing any critiques. I just want
Okay.
to show some of the work, and I wanted to. God, my computer's going insane. There we go. Okay, so I wanted to talk a little bit about why I picked this month's topic. I was going through my Pinterest page and came across a couple of Alice in Wonderland images. Are you seeing my screen okay, Will?
Yeah.
Okay. So this one was one of them. I don't know who the artist is, but I absolutely love this image. So these are for Alice in Wonderland, and they just got me thinking. I started to see it's a fairy tale that we're all so familiar with, and yet there's so many beautiful ways to handle some of the passages. I love this one, this little spot of color, although there's kind of a tangent right there. This guy is, I can't remember his last name, Daniel Iglesias or something like that. Just a beautiful, let me try to make these bigger so you can see them. I just loved this work, and I thought that would be a great challenge for you guys as students to tackle one of these fairy tales, because there's opportunity there because people recognize the story, people know the characters and the general plot lines. So it's a challenge in the fact that you got to figure out how are you going to bring something new to it. I mean, look at this version of Alice in Wonderland. I haven't seen anything like it. And I just love the design of it. He left some nice open spaces for text, if it indeed is going to be a book. I don't even know what this is from. But it got me thinking about it. How do you reinterpret something that you're so familiar with? How do you go past the cliches? Here's another one by the same artist. Just amazing. And then I started to look at other fairy tales and people's interpretations of them. There is the classic Three Little Pigs. Oh, here's another one more Red Riding Hood. Beautiful. So you can see so many different interpretations of it. Here's another one, kind of wacky perspective there, which I dig. And then I started looking at Three Little Pigs and was reading the Lane Smith version to my 4-year-old the other night, and he just did a brilliant job with this true story of the Three Little Pigs. So here's a couple of images.
When that came out, I was just blown away. I was in school when that came out.
It was so good, and it was just so absolutely unexpected. So then I started that. So that's kind of where the prompt came from for me. And I started to go through fairy tales, and I thought Jack and the Beanstalk is a perfect one because it opens up so many opportunities for. First off, you got the beanstalk, which a lot of people utilize with a high vantage point or a low vantage point, unexpected scene with something like that shooting up to the sky. So you already have something really interesting, and then you've got opportunity for scale, playing with the scale between the giant and the and Jack, and just so much opportunity for the storytelling, and an opportunity to deal with text, which a lot of people may not have dealt with before. So. Hey, Will, are you picking that up? I'm getting some kind of static or something.
Let me just check to make sure everybody's muted here. There we go. It was Sue.
Okay. Nice of you to call her out like that. Okay, so this is just going through in no particular order. They just came up as alphabetical, but I thought I'd just run through it, and you can see exactly what I was talking about. Is so many people doing so many different interpretations of media and so many different interpretations of which moment in the story they were gonna pick, and so I hope it was fun. Some people did vertical images, some people did horizontal, which is typical for a book, but either way I don't care. Hopefully you guys read that little announcement that I put on the forum that was saying I really want you to get something that you like out of this. Don't just feel locked down to the assignment. So Jack and the Beanstalk is the starting point. and where are you going to take it, what media you're going to use, are you going to deal with text or not. Those are all things that you have to consider. So we got all these different moments from the story, and I just loved looking through them.
Lee, do you think that that people should? Do you think people write enough before they start doing this? Do you think they jump into it too quickly sometimes?
What do you mean write? In terms of writing notes to yourself, or
Yeah,
writing
like trying
as
to
a
come up with a
story?
game plan, like a verbal game plan before you actually start to draw.
I was going to talk a little bit about that during the critique, it's worth mentioning,
Then
while we're
yeah,
scrolling through these.
hold it for then. Then I don't want to.
No, it's okay. I mean, I'd like to talk about it because actually we can as we scroll through these, you can be thinking about some of this stuff. The big thing that I want to encourage you guys to do in the early stages of a project is exactly what Will's talking about, is brainstorm with words. And that's the biggest thing in terms of hitting the emotional mark, or the storytelling moment that you're trying to do, is to write it out and say, I want this to feel scary, or I want this to feel happy. And then and once you've got those words down, then you've got something to compare your image against. You can show it to people, even people who aren't artists, and if they don't respond with the right response, those words that you wrote down, then you got to go back to the drawing board.
Mm-hmm.
And so the more descriptive that you can be in the beginning in terms of writing, in terms of brainstorming, and trying to figure out what you're trying to say and what you want the audience to walk away with, the better off you're going to be. I didn't know if this one was in the right folder, but I dig it.
Yeah,
I
and
don't.
you know what? Just let me mention something right now on that one. That one, it's an amazing piece, and I'm friends with this artist on Facebook. I I don't know if I could pronounce her name, but her work is amazing. I think that if she's watching this, the only reason it didn't get picked tonight is because well, one of the reasons it didn't get picked was, or the main reason is because it didn't really fit the story of Jack and the Beanstalk. But yeah, amazing piece.
Yeah, beautiful. So I mean, I loved going through these, seeing all the color balance you guys were using. But like I said earlier, I'm going to talk a little bit about that brainstorming process once I'm doing the critique. I've got some good ones, some little moments of
Oh yeah,
fear and little moments of dread.
yeah. There's some really
Wow.
fun stuff. I was really impressed when I looked through them. And that one just is turned a little bit. Yeah, there you go. Really fun and interesting takes on some of these too. Kind of fracturing the fairy tale and some, and
Yeah, I mean, just trying to pick which image is going to be the one you illustrate may have been a problem for a lot of people that you haven't had to deal with before.
yeah.
What's the big moment? And do you want to say that big moment in your image, or do you want a quieter moment that's a little more subtle and more personal? It's tough. I mean, I almost think of it, if it's a single image type thing like this, I almost think of it as a book cover, which I see some of these being like this first Alice in Wonderland that I had up, or Little Red Riding Hood rather, if I can get it. Seems more like a book cover. Obviously, this doesn't happen in the book,
Right.
but if I'm just given one shot, I pretty much just try to get the feel of the story. But sometimes if you're locked into text, if you haven't been locked into text before, in other words, you have to do an image with that text on the page, it's really hard sometimes to match your image to the text and not give away too much in your image. So it's a good challenge if you guys haven't done that before.
Hmm.
It's a lovely handling of the media in a lot of these. These are just so much fun.
And I might just add, as you're going through these, that for now we're getting submissions that we can actually. We're not getting too many that we can actually spend some time and just go through all of them in the beginning. As this competition grows, which I'm assuming it will over time, we might not be able to show them all, but at least right now.
Well, I think what that'll probably turn into is we'll have to pick the top 20, and if we're getting 100 submissions, obviously we can't scroll through that many.
Right.
So I don't know. I think it's a good challenge for people to say, can I get into that top 20? And then if you do get in the top 20,
That's a good
say,
point.
can
Yeah,
you
but that would,
can you get into the top
yeah,
3?
yeah, that's a good idea. As you're doing these, I might make a few announcements that kind of goes along with this.
Go
One
ahead.
one is that we have a deadline of 12 p.m. Is that noon? Yeah, 12 p.m. I always get that mixed up. 12 a.m. It's noon o'clock on Eastern Standard Time. So East Coast of the United States, that's when the cutoff is because we need time to look through them and to choose our winners and to choose the ones that we're going to critique. And so with that, I think we got about 5 submissions that came in after that tonight. So they're in this group, and you're seeing them being flipped through here. But they didn't get considered for winners because they came in too late and we had already picked. So just
Yep.
keep that in mind if you enter this competition again, that 12 noon on the third Thursday is the cutoff. So even though
Yeah.
there's a bunch more hours, you've got 6 books that you have to illustrate today, Lee, right? They all have to be done today.
Yes.
So,
I mean, the big thing is, I think for you guys who are studying to be professional illustrators, or maybe some of you guys who are already working professionally, is to think of this as a professional job, and you wouldn't turn it if your client needed it at noon. You wouldn't turn it in at 1 or 2. If
right.
they need it at noon, it's going to go to press, and it's a good way to practice. As people practice is exactly how they behave once they're in the professional environment, and you don't want to be somebody who's seen as kind of being late. And so, if it was me, I would say try to have your images done probably 2 days, at least 2 days before the cutoff, and that way you can go and relax. You can look at it one last time, maybe do a couple little touch-ups. But if you're panicking, if you're starting at 10 a.m. this morning
Right.
and trying to hit that noon deadline, the image is going to be a rush. You're not going to get a piece that you're happy with. So I always try to, even when I am under the gun with 6 books, I'm still trying to come in early because I want those extra days just to be able to look at it with fresh eyes, make the adjustments, and turn in work that I'm proud of. So it's a way to start using this assignment as entering you into the professional realm.
That's right. Okay, a couple more announcements here. The deadlines, we got that. Submit your images to svslearninfo@gmail.com. That's svslearninfo@gmail.com. Will someone pop that into the chat for us? But I'm going to say that that's the only way that we consider submissions is when they come in through that Gmail account. However, we now have forums at svslearn.com, and that's our the site where we sell the online tutorials and classes. And tomorrow, sneak preview, we're going to announce some critiques, some paid critiques, and they're only going to be $20 each. So we kept them really low, and because we just want to see if we can help. And so they're going to go really fast. They will be announced tomorrow on our Facebook page. So, and I'm not sure when Aaron will get those up, but they will be announced tomorrow on our Facebook page. So in the forums on SVS Learn, you can put your images there and get feedback if you want, but we don't consider that a submission. So maybe you put it in the forum, talk about it, get some feedback, and then when you're ready, go ahead and submit it to svslearninfo@gmail.com. Okay, another announcement real quick is that tonight we're going to have 3 winners, and we're going to critique 5. So, and once these winners win, they can't win again for a year. So they can submit, and we can show them in the group of images, but they can't win again. If they've been critiqued, they can still win. Another one is please name your image your first and last name .jpg. And
it's another one of those professional things. You always name that stuff correctly, because a client may be getting hundreds of images through email, and you don't want yours to get lost in the mix.
That's right. And if you win, email Aaron at that same email address, svslearninfo@gmail.com, and he will set you up with 2 free classes. Okay, I think we're
Take
ready.
it away. You're ready to demo?
Okay, so here's our first one. Let me take the let me share my screen here. You know what? I don't know which screen it's sharing. Which one are you seeing?
I'm not seeing anything. Oh, there we go. I'm seeing the little frog on the pencil.
Darn. Wrong screen. Hold on a second. course, it would be the wrong one. This one is the one I want. You getting that?
Yep.
Okay. And this one is my, whose is this? This is Alyssa Empey. I hope I'm saying that right. Alyssa Empey probably. Great piece. Really nice. I really like this piece a lot. And there's one, and what we did tonight is Lee and I both kind of chose some on our own. We've had some arguments before, and Lee is right, but I try to fight for what I believe too. So we tried something different tonight where we both got to just choose some, and so this was one that I chose, and one of the reasons why I chose this is because I feel like it does really fit with the spirit of the story. Definitely in the more towards the beginning of the story where Jack has to go off and sell the milk cow that's not giving milk anymore. And there were a few things on this that I thought was worth looking at and maybe worth making some changes on. And so I'll just talk about those things right now. The first thing is I'm assuming that this is a spread in a children's book. Now, and the reason I'm assuming that is because the dimensions feel like it would be too wide if it were if we were doubling that up and going for a horizontal look. So I think that this is, and forgive me if this is one page, but I think that there's probably a gutter that goes down through here, and I just kind of felt like the gutter is kind of going right through the back end, and not really giving when you cross over the gutter, it's a really sketchy thing. You really want enough of a shape to kind of be bisected so that when you open that book and look at it, it's not cutting off something. And when this is gathered in, because this when they bind that together, you're actually going to lose even more. So probably what you'll end up seeing is more like that. So you'll see this part of the tail end, and you'll see this part of the cow, and where it's kind of foreshortened, where it's kind of coming towards us, it makes it difficult right there. It's not horrible by any means, and I don't want to make you feel like it's a huge deal, but I feel like it could be improved. The other thing is you've got this line, this horizon line, kind of coming in right here, and it's kind of touching right on the back of that animal and right on the top of the head. And what we want to typically do is, let me get a different color here. We really want to, when you have a line like that, you really want, instead of almost touching, you want to make sure that you're bisecting something. So the head ideally would be up here, and then that kind of goes through really nicely. You just definitely want to. My dog's going to start freaking out because there's a dog barking outside. Could you hear?
I was laughing because there's an udder in the gutter.
There's an udder in the gutter. Oh, did somebody say that? That's awesome.
I'll be here all week.
Was that you? Was that you or was that somebody in the chat?
No, that was me.
Oh, okay. That's great. That's a children's book right there, you guys. There's an udder in the gutter. You do die cuts. There's all kinds of things you could do with that. All right. Okay. So there's that. And then, we have this in our children's book class. We talk about type. This percentage right here, this value of this tone that's around the type here, I would estimate it at like 30%, somewhere in there, and it's just getting, this is nitpicking a little bit, because this piece is so nice, I had to nitpick it, but it's getting to the point where it's a little bit dark for surprinting or for that black text. And so I actually thought that you had this nice space up here that text would be dark and it could actually go up there a little bit better. And so I actually did it like a paint over on this one. And so what I came up with was this. And so what, I fixed a few things like, and again, this is not, I'm not saying that this is right and yours is wrong. I picked yours for a reason, Alyssa, and that's because it was so nice. The style is so nice. The drawing's so nice. There's so many things that's nice. But when you get down to the essence of trying to go one step further, even though you have all this control, you've got nice atmospheric perspective, and you're letting your colors desaturate as they go back, which is really nice. And there's so many good things going on with your design. The kid's cute, and so many things that are functional. After that, it really starts to get into the design of it, and like right here, another thing, you got that fence running right in there. I just saw that too right now. So that's one of the things that I wanted to try to correct was, we've got the fence that kind of cuts through the boy, and let me get a new layer there. Kind of comes through, and so he's able to pop up into this sky back here and break that horizon right there. And also I lightened it up and I darkened his skin just a little bit so that his face really pops against the background. You've got a darker figure on a lighter background, whereas when we look at yours, we've got this back and forth light dark thing. It's not wrong, but I feel like it's something that can actually make it a little bit more legible. And again, the same with the cow, making the cow dark against a light background makes it pop a little bit more. And we've got the cow on this side, we've got the gutter coming through, and now we've got this guy on this side. So that's basically my critique on that one. Do you have anything you want to add on there, Lee?
No, I think those are good critiques. I think the addition of the road kind of flowing through the image in yours
Mm-hmm.
really makes it a dynamic spread.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that's a really really nice touch. Love the palette that she used
Yeah, it's
initially,
great palette.
and you kept that. It's really 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 nice. I think those are good suggestions all the way around. It feels like a really balanced design.
All right, awesome. Okay, we're going to switch over to you there, Lee.
Okay, the screen. Now, when you see my screen, Will, this is just a technical question. Are you seeing my whole screen, or are you just seeing the window that I'm working in?
I see your whole screen, so I see your files back there.
Okay, okay. I just didn't know how much to zoom in on
Yeah.
that. Okay, so this is the one that I picked. This one is Rob Smith's. Just a beautiful, let me zoom in a little more. Really pretty design. Love the color balance. I even wrote some of this stuff down there. Really really dynamic drawing. These shapes that are kind of jutting against each other of the beanstalk is just beautiful. I think the media is handled quite well. I may be biased because I'm a watercolorist. I love it. But I do digital drawings too. But yeah, this one stuck out to me, and I just thought it was really pretty. Like I said, really lovely shapes, and the color balance is really good. So when I started looking at it initially, at first it was really really pleasing. So I had to really zoom in and kind of think, okay, well, how would I improve this piece? And so I come up with a checklist basically, composition, value, color, and I try to separate all that stuff to give me a working list of how I can improve my pieces. And you guys can use that in your own pieces too. Just isolate: is the drawing good? Is the color good? Is the value good? Is the flow of the eye movement good? And so some areas that I thought needed improvement. There's some design issues. Let me make a new layer, and I'll touch on those. This leaf to me, while I like the fact that it frames him in, seems really really awkward against the house. And this is just a gut instinct. I mean, a lot of this stuff is just going to be a gut instinct, but all this stuff feels so natural, and this one feels like it's not holding true to that nice design
It's
aesthetic
because
that he set up.
would you say it's because it's so big and alone, all by itself?
Yeah,
Or-
yeah, it's kind of isolated. It's not really dealing with hitting the house. It doesn't look like it's pushing against the house, which that would be one thing if all of a sudden this thing's coming up and now there's force being applied. It just seems like it's kind of sitting there, and it becomes a distraction because remember, like, aside from composition and color and all that good stuff, we want to notice we want to notice our character and how he fits into the scene. And like I said, it's a pretty good setup for a framing option. I love the idea of framing, and if this was cropped really small, like down here, maybe that would be enough to bring us back into the scene, and maybe pull a couple of leaves from the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
But that was one area that stuck out to me. Tangents, like some of the stuff you were talking about in yours, Will. This bird's sitting right at the edge of the frame. It's not actually totally touching, but it might as well be. You either want to move this guy in or really crop him. And so where he's basically cut in half. He's sitting right on the edge of that frame. The cat doesn't seem involved yet. So a couple of design issues. One of the big ones, so the two big ones were the leaf, and then this portion of the house. I started to look at it, and I'm familiar with a lot of different kinds of architecture from working in concept design and looking at old stuff and new stuff and sci-fi stuff and medieval stuff, and I just could not wrap my head around how this house was working. So this whole area kind of needed something to me. So that was the design issues. Pushing the values further, if we went to a grayscale, like right now the color's holding this quite nicely, but if you went to a grayscale, we're not going to see too much value separation in all of this area. If you guys slightly blur your vision while you're looking at your screen, which it looks blurry to me anyway because I forgot my glasses.
They're on your head. They're on your head.
If you, huh? Oh, they are? God, there you go. I thought that was my thing. There we go. Beautiful, even better. So if you blur your vision, you'll see that his face actually gets lost. If I zoom out, you'll see it anyway. See how his face is now lost against the background? So there's got to be a way to highlight the character. And like Will was saying with the cow, either a light shape on a dark background or dark shape on a light background will pull that. And then the last thing is just color balancing. Your greens are going really hot over here, but you got such a cool background that the color's not integrated enough. When I'm painting in watercolor, and I'm assuming this is a watercolor, I only use typically five colors, and that's so all of the colors have a harmony to them. The problem with digital is you can go anywhere in this little rainbow, and there may not be a color harmony. So I'd like to try to bump up the color harmony a little bit. And so the image that I ended up doing for that one is this one. In my opinion, it's looking a little hot here, so let me pull that down a little bit. There we go. And so I just tried to take care of some of that stuff. It's not perfect. I mean, like Will's, we're just trying to sketch this stuff in. It ends up looking a little bit soft because we're sketching on top and typically using a little bit too much airbrushy kind of stuff just to get it in there. But I thought it was nice to, the big first thing is going dark with that background. Let me switch that color. Going dark with this background right here is key to getting him to pop out. I just got rid of this whole roof section and basically tried to make, instead of having this straight chimney, I tried to add some variety and a little bit of kind of a warbly shape there to add interest over here.
Why not parallel against the side?
It's static. We've got such a dynamic scene, and this style of building, I mean, if you look at these things, they're all a kind of, there's no symmetry there. The wood is rough cut, the roof is all the little, I don't know if it's hay or what that is, but it's all rough. And if you have some kind of rigidity to it, it looks a little bit, I think, too modern architecture. If you look back to this kind of building, nothing's really that straight. Right. I also like a triangular base to have stability on instead of this big tall thing that doesn't have any kind of balance to it. And then I tried to make something that it was recognizable to most people, is some kind of house structure that we can recognize. I still don't know what kind of house it is, but tried to integrate the cat just a little bit more, and then integrate this side of the beanstalk by pulling some of these little leaves and little vines and things across it. Move my bird in quite a bit, and so it's not that different than the original, but I think as we zoom out, you can see how well the design holds together in terms of value and in terms of structure. It can recognize it. I always say, and you guys will hear me say it a million times, if something works as a postage stamp, it'll work as a poster. I use that all the time in my classes. And so anytime there's a design problem, the way to find it is go out here and say, okay, look, our house breaks down. You can't really tell. I mean, look at it as a postage stamp. And then,
And the way, can I add something to that? Go back out again. Zoom back out.
sure.
The way to know is, and this is hard if it's your own work, so maybe get somebody with fresh eyes to look at it, but ask them when it's super small, maybe even a little bit smaller than that, how many adjectives can they use for each one? And if usually the one where they can use more adjectives is the better designed image, because they can tell more, they can see more recognizable objects at that small size. And when you can see
Right.
that, that means that there's structure. And when they can't use adjectives, that means there's not structure. And like
Absolutely.
your cat reads at that size right there, you can tell that that's a cat. On the left side, if you didn't see it large, you might not know it was a cat.
Yeah, he just kind of fades away once you get small, and so it's a great way to correct value problems. It's a great way to correct design problems. Just zoom out as far as you can. And by the way, take some of the. I know you guys collect a lot of images from your favorite artists. Try this exercise with your favorite artists. Is grab a couple of their images, zoom out, zoom way out, and you'll probably see that if they're working professionally, this is kind of holds true to almost everybody who's working as a pro. Their images work. I mean, almost everybody I show in my classes, I zoom out like that, and it's uncanny. I'd say 99% of them
Right.
hold together at that small size, and so there's something to that common denominator of being able to do that. If all the design professionals are doing it and it works, it's definitely something you should grab and use for yourself. I thought just for a second, if we got just another minute with this,
Yeah, go ahead.
some people don't know how to, or some people may be interested in fixing their own work, and so I just thought I'd show you kind of how I went about doing that repaint. Is there any value in that, Will?
Yeah, go ahead.
Sure, just real quick. So the first thing that I do when I'm doing a repaint on students' work or my own work as well is I don't mess with any lighting first. The first thing you should take care of is design. And so you can see here, all I did is just paint out all that stuff and just rough it in, just real rough, generic Photoshop brush, just trying to get all that stuff taken care of. And then I click off and on. I never do it on the same layer. Excuse me. And I go back and I compare it because sometimes I'll think, something's going to work, and it might not. So I'm always turning off and on. The next step is to fix the major value around your focal point. So the first thing I want to do there is to get my character reading.
Mm-hmm.
And so just with that, just with that one, you can start to see, wow, look how much more a read happens just from that little layer.
Yeah.
Happens real quick. The next layer, this is a great trick, is, let me turn off this mask. All I did here is just grab a layer. If I put this to normal, it's just a light violet layer. I set it to multiply. I back off of it a little bit, not to get too Photoshoppy on you guys. And then I just start painting into the mask, which removes paint. Basically, it removes that layer. And so what's great about this image is there's a bunch of local color that's really holding the image together quite well, but it needs lighting, it needs shadow. So basically, this is a shadow layer, and all it is just a big old layer, and then I just paint into the mask. And so that adds your shadow. Then I start dealing with color. So this layer set to overlay, and I added, anytime I have green, I'm going to add a little bit of red to that green to try to integrate it back into that violet. So I start to pull those colors, try to pull all the colors together at once. Then I add the detail that's just an opaque layer on top. Any kind of little bitty lighting tricks and overall color balance. There's a little bit of blue that I added, especially to this area. And then I'll lighten the image up, and then all of that, I'll take that and compress the whole thing and then massage it in terms of getting real nice strokes and all that stuff. But that's kind of the order that I go through, and it happens really fast by taking care of each issue: design, value, shading, color balance, and then detail.
Mm-hmm. That's great.
So anyway,
So if someone is working traditionally and they get their painting to this level and they need to fix it, what do they do?
if they're working traditionally,
Yeah.
First, you're going to buy a computer.
Wait a minute. Now you work in watercolor.
I'm just kidding. If it's watercolor, I'll do all these steps in opaque paint, and then I'll repaint the painting in watercolor using my newfound knowledge. So basically this would be a color study for me,
Right.
and I would repaint it. If it was acrylic or oil, I just do it right on top, those
So
exact same order. If it's acrylic, you can go in the exact same order as this.
so you use the computer to figure everything out, and then you use that as a guide to paint from.
Correct. I'll do some value studies traditionally in watercolor just to have the feel of watercolor, and then I'll tone it and color it and do this exact step in the computer. Or I'll do it if I'm going to stay traditional the whole time. I'll do a color study like this in acrylic and pastel,
Uh-huh.
and just have that as a working guide, and then I'll do the big original watercolor. But without a guide like this in watercolor, to think that you can get an image like this painting spontaneously in watercolor, no way. There
It's
has to be a game plan.
yeah,
There has
you're
to
gonna
be.
ruin yeah, you're gonna ruin some areas. So that shows how important it is to plan out your image. That's what I was getting at is the
Yeah,
the,
you have to.
the Mega Pro Lee White plans out his images before he starts to do something. No, I'm serious.
Every time I think that I'm good enough not to, it ends up looking horrible. So
Been there,
it
done
never goes away.
been there, done that. Okay, I'm
All
gonna
right, you're up.
steal it from you,
Okay.
and hopefully it shows the right one. Is it showing the image there?
Uh, chicken guy with a chicken on his back.
Yeah, okay, good. So it remembers. Okay, this one's Tamisha's, and she's been in our class before, in a couple of our classes. And I really like this image a lot. I just thought it was really fun. It's the goose that laid the golden egg, and he's huge. You get the feeling of weight. He's dropping gold like crazy. Um, there's a lot of storytelling going on in this one, and I just kind of really gravitated towards that. And you have some really nice textures too, Tamisha. I really like that. And again, so on this one, it's some design stuff that I want to talk about and look at. So let me just zoom in a little bit more on that. So one of the things that I'm looking at on this one is I'm looking at shape and I'm looking at intent, and I'm looking at the choices that you're making to tell this story, not any story, but the Jack and the Beanstalk story. And so one of the things that I see on this one that I would choose to do a little bit different is so what we're saying is we're saying beanstalk and we're saying tree. And because this tree right here, and Lee, feel free to, I just made that curly Q for fun. Um, Feel free to disagree with me, okay? But I think that that this beanstalk is in some ways getting upstaged by this tree, because the tree is more green and it's taking up almost the same amount of real estate if we actually look at how much that's taking up in the composition, and the value's the same. I think that they're competing with each other, and I think when you're saying Jack and the Beanstalk, I think you want to say Beanstalk really strongly, and I don't think you want to confuse it with another tree, even though that's a great tree. That's an interesting tree, but I think it's more interesting than the Beanstalk. So I would change that. That would be one thing that I would change.
Would you change the tree or do you change the beanstalk?
I changed the Beanstalk.
Okay,
But
that's
there's a
nice.
lot of different solutions to this, and mine is going to be lackluster. I'm already going to tell you my solution is simple, and it's under rendered because I didn't go ahead and repaint the whole thing. So it's just a suggestion. The other thing is watch for shape. You're simplifying your character really nice. This character is not this Jack character is not a boy, a realistic boy. It's very stylized and very simple. And I think that you're coming through and you're simplifying. I would watch little things like making sure that the knee is right in the middle, things like that mechanically. Um, but you're making really good simplifications on the boy, and I think when you get to these feathers, there's a lot of um, there's a lot of extra detail that I don't think is saying goose. All these little jaggies along here, I don't think those jaggies really help you anymore. And everything that you do should be done for a purpose. And that's kind of the essence of design, is having a reason for everything. And so if you're making those jaggies because in your mind you know that feathers are complex, the thing is when you look at feathers, they'll tend to lay down, and they'll even make simple shapes. So you can have an overall simple shape for your bird that is is not, it doesn't rely on all that extra detail, is what I'm trying to say in a really non-elegant way, right?
No, it makes sense. I mean, the boy is very, very definite decision making in terms of the shapes, and then the chicken doesn't feel like it was that. There's that confidence in that shape the way there is with the boy.
Right. So the solution that I kind of came up with looks a little bit like this, and it's just to really when people see this, they are going to see a huge beanstalk. There is no other story that I'm aware of that has a giant beanstalk. You've got you put the bean leaves in there, so you're getting those curly Q things. You're saying it with the little tiny details. But I think you need to say it with the overall shape as well. Um,
Great suggestion.
and so I just simplified the bird. The bird, you could also make the whole thing silhouette against the dark. You had gone light, so I thought, well, can we make it work? I changed the color a little bit because on yours you have the gold um, eggs, but in order to really show a color, in order to really demonstrate the full effect of a color, you kind of need to use the complement of that color. And so I chose like a purple because, and it's really not much purple at all. In fact, if we look at that, if we go ahead and sample that, it's a gray, but it's in the purple family. So if we look at that right there, look at where that is. It's in the purple family, but it's clear over here. It's got mostly white and black in it, just a little bit of color. But that little bit of color will pop those eggs out and make them look more gold. With all the yellow in the background, I think it's upstaging your gold. So I would change that as well to a cooler background. And that way these gold eggs, which you could embellish even more, will have a tendency to look more gold because they're the only thing that's gold. I mean, they're the gold. That's not what I'm trying to say. They're the most important thing that's gold, right? Because they factor into the
Yeah.
story. So we really want to see those. We don't want them to get cluttered up. If we zoom out and do the lead thing, let's look at that. And so when you see them at that, yeah, they look yellow, but do they look? Oops, wrong one. Do they look gold there? More gold? I'm gonna.
I mean, it's a great point. Is like what you were talking about earlier. Is figuring out what you're trying to emphasize before you start painting, and then let everything drive that. And so that's kind of what you're saying here. Is if you want
Yeah.
something to look gold, you're going to put its complement next to it to
Right.
really get that contrast. Yeah.
Right. And you did a great job. There's some really nice things going on that I didn't mention with yours, Tamisha. Like, you silhouetted this character against a really plain area back here, so its legibility is really good. You're incorporating a lot of really good design principles. Just coming up with a few more to maybe make it a little bit more simple. And you can add those other trees in there as long as they're subtle. I put a few little indications, but you can have green trees in there like we saw with Alyssa's in the first one. She had green trees going back, but they were desaturating in color. And so you can definitely make this more complex. I'm not saying that this is the only.
She was asking. She says, are there enough items filling the page? When she finished the image, thought it looked a little bit empty.
Um, you know, this is a tough one right here. You could show like maybe a hill in the background. Maybe what I would do is instead of this tree right here, another option would be to make a hill and to have that be the house that he's going in. Maybe the path kind of leads back up to his house or something. That's an option. This could be an area for text. Um, you
I
know,
would save the area for text because if you're submitting this, which I'm assuming you guys want to submit to publishers at some point, if not now, submitting images with text on them in your portfolio, or at least showing that version on your website with text, is fantastic because then all of a sudden an art director can see how they can use you and that you understand the problems that a publisher has, which is fitting text with story.
right.
I get that note a lot of the times from art directors when even in the thumbnail stages I do exactly what Will just did, little bars for the text, and they thank me. They're like, oh, thank you for remembering that there's actually text, because they hate to go back in and make a white box over a real complicated background or something like that.
And I would,
So don't think you got to fill every bit of it, but text is always a good way to fill the void.
yeah, I bet if you asked an art director what their number one problem with illustrators is, it's not leaving room for text. That's a guess. I should start taking a poll on that.
No, I agree. I mean, look at the award-winning books too. Look at John Klassen's work. I mean, you just got a whole open section of white page. I mean, we don't have to fill it. Although I know for some reason that a lot of illustrators, we love detail so much, and we want to fill it all.
Yep.
Kind of it's a natural tendency from so many illustrators. I don't really know why. Okay, so this is the next one that I can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the next one that I picked. Really gorgeous looking image. I liked it because I knew we were going to be doing a lot of images with the actual beanstalk like we did in the past ones. And so I wanted to show one that's from a different part of that story. So the pros the reason I picked this because I just thought it was it just had a lovely feel to it. Really wonderful concept. Love this moment in the story where he's got the goose and he's on the run. Really beautiful sense of movement. We read from left to right, and this thing is just cruising right across the page. So this would be a great spread. Nothing's lost. Let me make a new layer so I can actually paint. Nothing lost in the. I need to put this on top. In the gutter. So perfect there. I mean, we're completely set. Areas that and a consistent style. This looks like a very realized, finished kind of style. All the media holds together quite well. The palette's working really well. So it just feels very consistent to me, which I really enjoyed.
Mm-hmm.
The areas of improvement that I thought there's a couple of design issues that are going to come up from time to time, and you got to pay attention to them. This tangent cannot happen. You got to watch the edge of your frame. It's just like the bird in the last one. This one is actually touching the edge of the frame, and it just makes the image feel stuck in there. It's just I have my little checklist that I go through. There's color, there's composition, there's perspective, and then I actually have a checklist for tangent, and I just go around the image and I look what's touching what. And they creep in there every single time. It's amazing. And so, I spend like an hour just getting rid of those.
Mm-hmm.
This is uncomfortably close, in my opinion. So just be careful. Now this is fine because look how far that wraps over.
Mm-hmm.
So just pay attention to that. There's a lot of opportunities with how this thing's laying out, which I'm going to talk about in a minute.
Before you do, I'll just mention that's one of the things you get with the children's book class that we have at SVS is the
checklist.
A very detailed checklist. Yeah.
Lovely. Yeah, you can't use them enough. They're great because, despite, getting better at your skills over the years, the same problems will creep in, some weird perspective thing, funny hands drawn poorly. It's just something you got to pay attention to every time. The next thing is varying your sizes. There's a size relationship here. These are the two biggest items in there, and they're both basically taking up the exact same amount of mass. I know this is skinnier, but it's just there's an opportunity there. So anytime I can vary my sizes, I'll try to do that. We do have one thing that's going good is a big, a medium, and a small,
Mm-hmm.
which is great sense of design. I just think those big compositional elements can be massaged a little bit. Storytelling, when you're in real close like this, like Will said earlier, every single little thing matters, and when you're close like this, it's going to be exaggerated. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, including the napkin or the placemat, 6 items that are the giants, and so every single bit of that needs to be researched. What kind of giant is it? I felt like this is like, okay, it's a cup, but I don't really get a sense of who the giant is. I mean, this is a giant who's got a golden goose. He stole it. He's angry. I mean, he's a big dude, and so we want going into the storytelling elements, we want to feel this giant's presence, and I feel like there's a huge opportunity for storytelling. Look at this spoon. I could get this spoon out of my cabinet drawer right now. I want to see the spoon that this giant has. Maybe it's a big wooden carved spoon.
Mm.
Or maybe it's one with a skeleton on the or a skull on the end of it or something like that. There's so many opportunities for storytelling. I don't know if our big giant would have this delicate salt and pepper shaker, but I kind of like that idea that he's got this real dainty side. That said,
It was given to the missus, you know.
maybe to the
So,
sure.
but
Um,
I really like the idea of the spoon being, big and giant
Yeah, and
manly.
we can play with it. If it's a big giant, he's probably not going to be able to hold these items that well. If his scale is indeed this size, I mean, think about if you were that size trying to hold these little items. I don't think that would work. So some opportunity there, and then so that's it for the areas of improvement in terms of composition. And so storytelling's a big one. So even the wall back here, like, is there anything else? Would the wall have cracks in it? How old is this house that the giant would live in? I mean, every little thing you can do can add to the story. And so that should be the fun stages, the beginning research stages. I love that stage just because you can hang out and you can talk about it with your friends and write out your own little stories like who this giant is. And it's a great exercise to do. Don't just think of a generic giant. Think of this specific giant, and that can start your road to being specific versus being generic. And I guess that's my overall critique is these items are a little generic. Um,
I love
Cast Shadows.
I love the goose.
Oh, go ahead.
I love the goose and the little boy. I think that's
Dude, these are awesome.
yeah.
These are awesome. And as a matter of fact, they're so good, I may be inclined to cut them out and use them just as a character spot in your portfolio.
Mm.
They're fantastic. You'd probably have to add a little bit of line or put them on a gray background just so the goose doesn't get lost against a white background. But I absolutely love the characters. I wouldn't touch them at all. They're really pleasing, and it sounds, I guess, funny to use that as an adjective, but I see a lot of people who can draw great, and yet sometimes the designs aren't that pleasing. This is a really great looking character. I'd like to see him moved through a story. So I'm absolutely in love with these characters. So I'll show you the changes based on this stuff. Again, it's just cobbled together. The changes that I made. So what I did is opened up, and to take care of the composition, first off, I shrank down the candle. That was the first step. So now I have, and I raised the size of the cup. So now I have really big, medium, smaller, and then even smaller still. So I got a good variety there. I opened up my background a little bit more. So now I've got room. Probably reverse out this text if I could. We'll see. I don't know which would go better, black or white on that. So that's something like Will was talking about with the cow and the grass. What color text would go good? But a nice open area here. Were you going to say something, Will?
You're an overachiever, Lee, and I don't like that. He's make me look bad.
So in terms of so now I've opened this thing up. Oh, I know what I was going to say. So when you're trying with this image, you're trying to say Jack is small and the giant is big, right? This is his stuff and it's big. So when something is big, if you watch the movie Ants or Toy Story, what they do is they show the up angle quite a bit. So if you're standing on the ground looking at a cup, you get this angle at the top. You're not looking down on the cup, you're looking up on the cup. So I didn't exaggerate it too much, but I made sure to try to make my perspective go like that. Maybe the horizon line, if you're a stickler for that kind of stuff, might be right there, which makes sense too, because if you look at the ellipses here and here, that kind of matches that horizon line being right there. But anytime you can force that perspective to where it seems like we're looking up, it's going to make your character seem smaller. It's going to bring us into the scene, which is really, really important. In terms of storytelling elements, how I did this just real quick for a comp, I just grabbed a goblet or some kind of cup online, and I just threw it in there and I just ran a filter on it and then set it to multiply. And it does enough to where, again, using my postage stamp idea, is that the kind of goblet he would have, or is it not? I tried to really beef up the handle, um, so something maybe a giant can do. I wanted to add a little bit of sense of scale and uncertainty to the image, so I added this edge to the table. I mean, hopefully he's going to turn and see it. He's not just going to plummet plummet off the edge. But anything I can do to, I mean, this is a really exciting moment in the scene, in the book, and I want to add to that drama. Like we don't know what he's going to do here, but he's got to do something. Versus here, oh, I'm just going to run and everything's okay. And so I've added a little bit of peril to it, or I've added some decision making to my character, which invites your viewer into your character. I ended up moving the character back a little bit because, again, going into a tangent, look at the edge of this candle, and it hits, oops, on the edge, right at the edge of his head. And that was kind of bothering me a little bit, and he wasn't overlapping enough objects in the scene, and so I basically moved him back just a little bit, and then I darkened. You got to be careful when you're adding gray elements in there that you don't just add a light side and a dark side to everything, and it'll add too much light to a scene. So I'm assuming these salt and pepper shakers are gray. I just went for that darker value and then just hit the crisp little highlight right there at the end off the candle. So now I've got a light goose and his light face popping off against the now dark shakers instead of light shakers up here. Lit this thing up a little bit more to make it a little bit more special. Added some more feathers going across because, again, I want to up that sense of dynamic. He's running for his life. We want to feel that he's running for his life. Yeah, and I think that's about it. I can't think of anything else I added to this one.
I had another idea that's it's superfluous, but it would be maybe fun. What if the salt and pepper shakers had like growling faces on them that were really subtle, like everything, like like in Beauty and the Beast, how like all the objects had like that were animated,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Like putting little animated faces on here.
Yeah, like everything's against, but in a subtle way, They're helpless. They can't really move, so they're not going to be able to stop him. But they're not happy that he's getting away with something. Like everything in that house is not happy with the fact that he's getting away with the goose.
I like that. Definitely something to play with in a sketch form if you're not going to keep it for the final. We had a question with the candle. Jack's face would be in shadow, and she asked, do you just chalk that up to a cheat? I want to answer her, absolutely. I don't ever follow the rules with lighting or perspective or cast shadows or any of that unless it helps my scene. There are people, I'm sure you see them online a lot, where somebody will post an image online and they try to track they map all the shadows and they track it back and everything's got to be perfect. I absolutely
lighting Nazis.
Yeah, or perspective Nazis.
Right.
Absolutely. It doesn't bother me a bit that his face is lit and there's not that shadow side. I thought about that because I started to add you can see the cast shadows that I added from all this stuff going over the spoon and coming off of here, and I thought about that and I got to his face and I'm like, I don't want to put his face in shadow. Definitely something to think about. I mean, you want to make it look purposeful. I always just look at it and say, does it look weird? And if I don't think it looks weird, then I'll keep it. There's cheats like that all over the place. Like in a lot of book covers that I do, I never add, unless the arm can be added really easily, the back arm of a character. I just leave it off because it always looks so goofy to be coming around the character. A lot of times it's just awkward to put that arm in there. So I have a lot of one-armed characters. Not proper anatomy, but it works.
I totally agree. Now, you will get different answers from other people. I think maybe the further you push the accuracy of the light, the more out of place it's going to look. But like
you got that right. That's a great point.
What you did, Lee, is it's kind of stage lighting anyway. It's kind of theatrical lighting, and that's what I did.
Right.
And so I'll always make a decision based on what looks the best. And they do that in movies too. They completely cheat. If you look at movies, they are reflecting light in when they need it. There's people off camera that are controlling and spotlighting and moving things where they need it to.
Yeah.
I mean, if you saw the initial passes, before they actually go in and color correct stuff and look at stuff, it doesn't look anywhere near as good when they do it as after the post So
I mean, you could cheat all you want to. I was watching a show the other night, live action, and it was an interior shot. They were in a house, and it was supposed to be scary, and there was like smoke in the room. And I
yeah,
was like, nobody's talking about it's a smoky
yeah,
room, and there's like key lights everywhere. I mean, just the most unnatural light. If that was part of your house, you'd think you just walked into a Stephen King novel or something.
yeah,
Nobody's house looks like that, but it was great. It looked fantastic.
yeah. Okay, great. So we have one more, and I thought, Lee, we would do this one together. I didn't tell you that ahead of time, but I think
Okay,
I think
I'm up for it.
this is Charlie Eve Ryan's, and I just love this piece. And
It's all from the 70s. It's tradition.
oh, somebody just came in. Did you hear that?
I did.
Chris. Sometimes when people pop in, they're not muted, and I have to go and mute. Okay, so one of the things I like about this is the delicate handling of the characters. I love the tight crop, um, and just that I mean, the giant's got a hook. He's scowling. The delicate features on the faces. I just think it's awesome. Patterns and playing with these different textures and stuff. I have like basically like one fix that I would do to this. And Lee, you are absolutely free to. In fact, if you want to grab a screen grab, or do you have this one, or do you
I'll
have?
just grab it. I'll grab it from this.
If you want to do something different, you don't have to. But I'm just going to show you a couple. Well, actually, there's two things that I want to look at. So one,
Yours is wrong.
what's that?
You're wrong.
Mine's wrong. Mine's wrong. Yeah, I know. I want to see what you would do too. But one thing that I saw with this hook is I think it comes out of the hand, and I think this is important because we need to know what it is. That he's kind of holding this, and I might even wrap the finger around it more. Um, Wrap these fingers around so he's gripping that tighter. And I think I would bring that out and hook it out like that so that it's strong. And I also wouldn't color it red. I know it's important and it's dangerous, but just because they're typically those I don't know what you call them, but I know they grab bags of flour on the loading docks, and if you see Great Depression films, you see guys with those and lifting sacks of flour and stuff.
A safe work environment there.
Yeah.
Swinging those things
Well,
around.
if you ever got into an argument with your coworker, you'd always have a weapon, I guess. Uh, but the main thing that I would do on this is I would change the value around, and I actually haven't done this because I wanted to do it live because I think there's something really fun about doing both ways, doing the cooking show style where we've already done it and we kind of do a reveal, but I also think it's fun to kind of do it live and
The Jake Parker technique.
yeah, just wing it kind of a thing. So I'm just going to come down here and select this, and I'm just going to change the value and just see if my hunch is correct. And if
Yeah,
not,
somebody thought that was a mouse. That's what they're saying in the text thread. So definitely got to change that.
oh, right, yeah.
I thought it was a mouse too.
Oh, okay, yeah. So it's not a mouse, right? Is she there? Is Charlie here? Yeah, she's here. It's not a mouse, right? If I'm wrong, then I feel really bad.
Well, we don't have enough. I mean, the point is we don't have enough information really to give us. If you look at your hook references, the hook comes out like a handle, but it's not doing that. And so it almost could be a mouse, but there's not enough information there either. We don't have the whiskers. Like just a couple of whiskers would show that it was a mouse.
If I got that wrong, I'm gonna feel really stupid. Just so you know.
You shouldn't feel stupid because I think ultimately the takeaway is it's not clarified enough.
Right. So I'm just gonna lighten up this. Let me just hide that selection. I'm just gonna lighten this side, except I'm gonna lighten it instead of darkening it. And I'm gonna get a normal layer to do that. And
I
then,
keep trying to grab your window.
oh yeah. And then I'm going to select the inverse and hide that again. And then I'm just going to go back to that multiply layer and just darken these characters just a little bit. And then, you can always throw some light back in there. But I just wondered, like, what it would look like. Let's see here. Something like that. So if we look at it, let's zoom out. And you can, you're keeping the texture, but I think what it does is it holds a silhouette a little bit stronger. So, but when we look at it like this, what I'm afraid of is that the faces just kind of disappear. But when we do
Yeah.
that, let's see.
I think you're almost giving it a kind of a noir look with that lighting. Can you throw the screen over?
Yeah.
Let me show you how that's supposed to be done.
Oh.
I'm just teasing.
Do it.
All right. Can you see it?
Yeah.
So I got a couple of crits with it, but I'll address that first.
Now, are you on a Cintiq monitor?
No, I'm just on my tablet, which makes it so hard.
That's pretty good control to do with just a tablet.
Half my paintings are done with the lasso tool, strangely enough, because everything is dealing with getting flat value in there. So I try to do that as much as possible. Okay, so let me duplicate that layer. My big fix on this one would be go for a dark background with white type.
Yeah, that's even better.
Easy. Look at our poster stamp now.
It is.
There's a couple of other things I wanted to add.
I would have done that if I had more time.
Well, while you were trying to do it, I was like, what would I do? So I had a little more time. The one thing I want to talk about, this is something I do with my animation students quite a bit, is we got this great scene in this scene that's happening, the giants there and the text V5O fum, I smell the blood. So it's an aggressive scene, but watch what happens if I need to deselect that. So I'm going to take out the facial expression. Take out these guys too, so they're not worried. Is this somebody that you guys would think would be somebody who's mad, just looking at him without the facial expression, right? He's just standing there. The body's not contributing to the overall story. And so that's a big one that I do with my animation students, because the first thing that they do is make the angriest or the happiest or the saddest face, and then I just cover up the face, and then we look at what's left. And a lot of times it's just a person standing there. And so my big crit here would be if he's supposed to be aggressive, he's going to have to lean forward and be really imposing. I don't know what to do with this other arm over here, but oops. Maybe he's coming up.
What about like coming down? The other thing I was thinking was coming down, hunched. You know what I mean, like.
Oh, like he's standing over him and coming in towards him. That would be good too. But the big thing is to watch that. The next thing that the natural tendency is to just act with your arms. Can you guys see our screen? Are we? You guys can see my face. So people do this when they're trying to act. They just move their arms, and if I say make somebody who's mad, they just do this. You cover up the face and cover up the arms, and then the body isn't supporting it either. So I say start with it when you're trying to get into storytelling and make someone seem angry or happy or sad. Do it first with the body, then add the arms, then add the face. And then so that's working basically from big to small, and that's going to give you your best read.
Yep, absolutely. All right, I think that's a wrap. So we need to announce the winners, and I've got the 3 winners right here. I'll just steal the screen back from you there, Lee.
Yep.
And why can't I see it? Oh, there we go. Okay, drum roll. Can you see my screen?
That's all I got.
Okay, here we go. I'll drag it in here. So we've got Alyssa's with her little cow there, and then we got Rob Smith, and then the third one is Lisa Griffin. So if you guys will contact Aaron, SBS Learn Info
Yay!
at Gmail, yeah, yay.
Great work, guys.
He will hook you up. And anyway, thanks you guys. It is really so much fun to see these come in, and just to see all the effort and everything that went into these. Now, just so you know, the winners are not eligible to win again for a year, and so tough luck, guys. You won, so you're out.
Hey, you want to give the prompt for next month? Are we saving that for the website, or what?
Let's put that on here. Do you have that?
I can grab it. Hold on.
Can you grab that?
All right, let's see. Just saw
And
it.
we'll put this up on our website as well. SVS, www.svslearn.com. It'll be right on the front page on the blog. So we'll get it up there tomorrow. And I've got it in my email. I should have been ready with that.
I was looking through the email too. I can't find it.
Okay.
It's a good one, you guys. It's a really
You know what? I'm not going to be able to find it.
We'll post it on the forum because I don't have it handy.
We'll put it up tomorrow, and it'll be there, and we'll also put it on our Facebook page. So there you go. And,
It's definitely a good one. So check it out, you guys, and keep submitting. We love seeing them, and yeah, keep posting them on the forum. If you haven't checked out the forum, go do that because it's a cool place, and you could post it early, maybe get some feedback early.